Just so you know, this one won't have a lot of visuals since there's not a lot of art from Lorwyn to work with. Okay, so, of all the characters who didn't deserve what happened to them, Ashling by far didn't deserve it the most, if that makes sense. Anywho, what we have here is a clear case of someone being pushed just a little bit too far and deciding to become an absolute problem. So here's the thing, Ashling is a Flamekin pilgrim. This means that she journeys from place to place trying to follow her own path in life, and her path often involved following in the footsteps of a great, fiery elemental she only barely knew about. Since she was already traveling all over, Ashling decided to take on work as a courier of information across Lorwyn. Mistake number 1, folks, being a wagey. One day, Ashling takes a job from Kolfanor, the last Yew tree folk, to go find his apprentice, the elf Rhys, and bring said apprentice back to said tree folk. Mistake number 2, interacting with fucking Kolfanor. Anyhow, Ashling does eventually find Rhys, shortly after he accidentally set off an explosion that sorta kinda killed his entire military unit. Yew magic and all that. I don't have time, I'm not explaining that right now. Also, by sheer coincidence, the elemental Ashling was chasing had confronted Rhys for his act of explosive carelessness, so there's that. A lot happens in a pretty short amount of time, so I'll be brief. Rhys, the elf, is being hunted by his former bunnies because he killed a lot of his former bunnies. Marilyn, who is 100% totally an elf, I promise, is hanging around Rhys because she likes him? It's complicated. I'll do that video another day. The Vendilion clique, 3 fairies, are hanging around because they're annoying and this story needed comic relief, and also Bridget is here. Fuck Bridget, all my homies hate Bridget. This merry band of unlikely allies saunters their way on back to Kinsbale. Rhys has a merry chat with his mentor, and then they get out of Dodge quick because the elves caught up. Also, Rhys has to go plant a seed. Get on the boat. Go, go, go! After evading capture and making it all the way to this sacred grove or whatever where Rhys plants the seed, the group is betrayed by, surprise, Bridget. Mistake number 3, folks, trusting a fucking Kithkin. Bridget gives Ashling her first ever bath, which would sound hilarious if Ashling weren't literally deathly allergic to water, and then the turncoat takes out a doodad and flies Ashling's barely conscious ass back to Kinsbale, with the others rushing to try and save her. What happens next can only be described as not fun for Ashling. Her kidnapping was the final step in Kolfanor's Keikaku. Keikaku means plan in Japanese. The tree folk had captured Ashling's elemental and called it to her. In doing so, she was reignited by the spirit's fire. Good, but this also set Kolfanor ablaze. Bad? Anywho, the party reunites, bringing along Bridget for some god-forsaken reason, and fucks off to do some nonsense adventure, but Ashling's having none of it. You see, turns out having a near-death experience is pretty traumatizing, and without free Wi-Fi to play this video's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends, Ashling has no way to cope. So, after rescuing some giants that were literally too dumb to live, our fiery friend here fucks off to return to her home, Mount Tanofel, where she gets in a fight with the local priests. It doesn't matter, really. Also, one of the fairies is here, alongside the sapling of Kolfanor. Nope, not explaining that. That's another video. There's a really cool part of the story here where Ashling enters this big chamber filled with statues, and she has a little spirit quest for herself, and she looks around and sees that all the statues are actually statues of herself, and it's super trippy. Seriously, I promise, go read the book for yourself. After this little trippy quest, Ashling's quote-unquote destiny is revealed. With the help of the sapling of Kolfanor and the fiery elemental, Ashling is supposed to serve as a guiding, fiery light for the Flamekin when the great aurora comes and shrouds the world in Shadowmoor. For, obvious reasons, Ashling isn't really all that interested in following Kolfanor's plans, so when the big ritual occurs, Ashling instead says fuck it and takes all of the elemental's powers for herself, becoming the only Flamekin to retain her fiery nature when Shadowmoor descends. Alright, you with me so far? Good. In Shadowmoor, normally everyone forgets about what Lorwyn is and their lives in that world. Not Ashling. Thanks to her actions, she fully remembers her past on that world, as well as all the people who wronged her. And if that sounds ominous, just get a load of this. Instead of becoming the Flamekin equivalent to Jesus, Ashling has become the Destroyer, an unstoppable incarnation of fiery destruction that wipes out pretty much everything in her path. I'd play Pumped Up Kicks right about now if I didn't think I'd get a copyright strike. So Ashling, who is just 24/7 pissed off, goes around burning down just about any town she encounters, and in her wake rises an army of boggarts and cinders just itching to fuck up whatever survives her initial hellfire. And remember when I said she's unstoppable? Bro, I fucking mean it. Nothing so much as slows this chick down. The mightiest elf sage uses the combined power of an entire forest to punch her miles over the horizon, and it barely fazed her. Entire towns just fucking die as she approaches. It's nuts. In the end, they have to drop a river on her. And no, I'm not meaning a lot of water, I mean an actual fucking river is picked up and dropped on Ashling, and even that only barely weakens her enough for Una— no, I'm not explaining Una, that's another video, stop fucking asking— to try and steal Ashling's powers. Of course, Una is thwarted by the— heroes? Do Marilyn and Rhys count as heroes? Marilyn's pretty ambiguous, and Rhys spends most of the time really having no idea what the fuck is going on. Whatever, questions for later. Anywho, now that she's calmed the fuck down, Ashling decides to atone for her wanton genocide by rejoining Team Hero and helping out in the final fight against Una. And then Una is destroyed, and we get no character resolution for Ashling at all. The end.